Hello and welcome back to the Not the Old Firm YouTube channel. My name is Ben Banks. Back the morning after the Czech Republic Scotland match at Hampden Park in Scotland's first major tournament match since 1998. The build up to the atmosphere around the nation before the Czech game was something we've not seen for so long in Scottish football. Everybody together supporting the one cause for the likes of Andy Robertson, Lyndon Dykes, Stephen O'Donnell, Cal McGregor. We could go through the full squad. Everybody was fully backing this team to do the business against Czech Republic and then go on to have success against England and Croatia to get through the last 16 of the Euros and first time into the knockout stages of a major tournament for the nation. But those lofty heights and lofty ambitions have taken a pretty big blow again, and probably the game we had to win. A 2-0 defeat to Czech Republic, and we'll speak about it all during the course of this wee short video. I'm doing remember like this video, subscribe to the channel. We'll have a few interviews in the lead up to the Scotland-England match at Wembley on Friday. First one is with Stephen Whittaker today, as you watch this on Tuesday. If you're watching this after Tuesday, then do check out our video with Stephen Whittaker. That should be on the channel, speaking about his time in the national team and his coaching role with Dunfermline that he's recently took up on a full-time basis. Then after that, we'll have two other ones. Somebody who's captained the national team in the past, as well as a former England international. So plenty of exciting stuff over the next few days. We'll look back on the Scotland-Czech Republic game in maybe not too much detail. I don't think anybody wants to revisit that all too often. Yeah, it was very disappointing, I think it'd be fair to say. This was the game, when you look at England, who are one of the favourites to win this tournament, and Croatia are 2018 World Cup finalists, facing Czech Republic, a team beaten twice in the past year, albeit one of the times was when the Czech Republic had a really weakened squad. This was the game you were looking at that you really had to win to have a chance of getting through the last 16. 3 points has got teams through in the past. And Northern Ireland won their last group game at Euro 2016, I think, and managed to get through. Portugal, I think, drew a lot of their games at the group stages, got through with 3 points, went on to win the tournament. So not all was lost, but it was much easier to win this game than the next two games, I think. And yeah, Patrick Schick's first goal, really good header from him, albeit Stephen O'Donnell can maybe get out a bit quicker to the fullback progressing on him. And Schick scores a goal. And then that second goal, everybody's seen him on Twitter, everybody's seen the memes of David Marshall getting zapped in the net by Spider-Man and running through the assault course at Takeshi's Castle and things like that. Yeah, I think he was about 35 yards out of his goal. Jack Hendry has a shot. He could have played it away to Stephen O'Donnell, hits a shot, deflects to Patrick Schick, gets it about 50 yards for goal, and lobs David Marshall with some crazy curling effort that must have curled about 15 yards, sort of around this way, and then into the net. Just a pretty ridiculous goal, albeit few people pointing whether it could have been avoided. Game itself, starting 11, obviously the big one was Tierney missing the game through injury in what is a pretty big blow. I think it'd be fair to say Liam Cooper is captain of Leeds United this season at Premier League level, a very impressive Leeds United side at that, but just hasn't got the ability to stride forward and make things happen like Tierney in that 3-5-2 system. Robertson had one of his best games for Scotland on the left-hand side, but with Tierney there, you can only imagine he probably would have got a couple of assists. Yeah, it was really, really missed him, albeit I don't think Cooper had a terrible game by any stretch of the imagination. A good game with what he can do, but he's not got the same skill set as Tierney, and his skill set is very much required for this. I would say Liam Cooper probably similar mold to Grant Hanley. He can play with the ball. Liam Cooper is fairly decent at that with Leeds United, albeit I don't think a lot of it came in a three at the back formation. He has sort of featured as a middle centre back at Leeds, but yeah, he can play with the ball, but not as well as Tierney. Tierney is Scotland's best player for me at the moment. John McGinn, probably a close second. If Andy Robertson plays like that, then he's in that contention as well, but I'm perhaps not seeing the Liverpool Andy Robertson enough for Scotland over the last couple of years, albeit still playing really well and performing his captain role extremely well. But yeah, Kieran Tierney's a massive miss. And Che Adams never started as well, which for me, Che Adams had to start Lyndon Dykes and Stuart Armstrong play him off, and was what Steve Clarke opted with, and I didn't see me work. Lyndon Dykes had a few chances, probably should have scored. and Stuart Armstrong found himself too deep to impact the game, and that impacted Scott McTominay and John McGinn, who I just felt were getting constantly deeper and deeper as the game went on. And midfield perhaps didn't have the games they would have wanted, and yeah, it all contributed to the defeat. Albeit I don't think Scotland were terrible by any stretch of the imagination, played a hell of a lot worse and won games in the past. Andy Robertson's chance in the first half is the big one for me at 0-0. Scores that and it's a completely different game. He opted to go curling it round the keeper at the near post. The keeper makes a really good save. But yeah, for me, he should have hit that low and hard across the goalkeeper instead of doing what he did. It was still a really good save, to be fair. I'm not wanting to tell a Champions League or Premier League winner how to hit a ball. But yeah, just getting the Czech Republic goalkeeper name, so I'm not making butchering it. Thomas Vaclik, I think is how you pronounce it. Sevilla goalkeeper. Yeah, he had a really good day in between the sticks. Clawed one out from a deflection from his centre half, I believe it was Saluska, not Zaluska, but Seluska. Curled over the top of him. It looked like it was going in, and he managed to claw it out. Made a really good save for Lyndon Dykes at 2-0. And I think when he clawed that shot at the net from the deflection, that was perhaps a bit of luck Scotland had in the game in terms of the deflection looked over him. But once he clawed out the game, clawed out his net, then I think it became at least apparent to me that this wasn't going to be Scotland's day. It was going to be the what could have been game. And then, yeah, talking about the goals, the first one is already mentioned. Not a lot you can do. He gets in between the two centre halves really well and headers it into the bottom corner. The only thing you could say is perhaps the line could have been a bit higher and Stephen O'Donnell can maybe get out to the ball a bit more. But the second goal is the one everybody's talking about. Jack Hendry, for me, has to play it down to the right. Even if that goes to nothing and that cross just fades out for a goal kick, it doesn't lead to what happened. Albeit, I don't think anybody could have anticipated Patrick taking the ball from where he did and then just curling it right over David Marshall and into the net. Been a lot of talk about David Marshall's positioning. Why was he 35 yards out of goal? Steve Clark said that, pundits have said in the modern game, goalkeeper needs to be that high in case it does come over the top. But I just don't, for me personally, I don't see why he had to be almost on the edge of the halfway line, sort of centre circle. I don't know why he had to be there. He could have been 10 yards back, and if he's 10 yards back, then he probably makes it in time to at least claw out. And there was nobody else in the box or anywhere near him at that time, and he would have been able to manage to at least claw out and gather it at the second attempt, but take nothing away from the strike. It's going to be goal of the tournament. If it's not, then somebody's going to have to pull out something seriously special to beat that. Crazy strike. There's an angle, I think, from an overhead camera, and you can just see the bend that it gets on it, and it's just ridiculous. But perhaps, again, if David Marshall's 10 yards back, even with the dip and stuff it had on it, he perhaps just manages to claw it somewhere anywhere apart from there. And after that, the game sort of went from Scotland. Czech Republic could have scored another one. Scotland could have scored a couple as well, but it just didn't look like Scotland's day, and it sets up for two huge games against England and Croatia. You need to win at least one of them. I think really you need to win one and draw one to guarantee it. A space in the next round. I think if you win one, then it's very difficult. Czech Republic probably only need a point now to get out of the group. Croatia won't play as bad as they did against England on Sunday. That game finished 1-0, so it means England are second in the group currently because Czech Republic are talking goal difference, but you'd think England will beat Czech Republic. Good chance they'll beat Scotland as well if you go by the bookies. But obviously, we know here that Scotland will come out and top in that game. But I think Scotland need a point probably. I think realistically, Scotland could be doing with a point at Wembley and then 3 points against Croatia. Czech Republic to beat Croatia would set up Scotland really well for that game, and then it's pretty much a third place shootout after that. But I think it'll need to get something out for the England game and they need to beat Croatia. I think that's what has to happen. I think if they'd have won that yesterday, then there'd have been the pressure off. They could have went to Wembley and they could have pretty much just went for it. And if they'd have lost 3 or 4-0, then it would have been okay because if they'd have got a point on the Monday at Hampden, then could potentially make up for it. But now that they've lost this game, it means that they do need to avoid defeat in these two games, for me anyway. Because even though third place gets you through, it's not guaranteed. You still need to amass enough points. You need to finish there in your group as well to make that happen. But still to play for in the group, and no point chucking toys out the pram after one game. But we hope you have enjoyed this wee recap of it. We'll have one similar after the England game on Saturday and the Croatia game as well. That'll be a bit later. The Croatia game, that'll probably be out on the Thursday. So hopefully the Croatia one won't be the last Euro 2020 review we do of Scotland's time in it. But we hope you have enjoyed this one. Do remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and until next time.